So today I am escaping the winter wonderland here and traveling 1,200 miles to spend a few days with someone from the internet that I've never even met. So we're going to be hiking and talking about geology, and I'm very excited. Mostly to just get out of the snow. I actually shut down the interstate here the other day and I wasn't sure if I was going to even make my flight. And it's snowing right now, so there might be some delays, so we'll see. Yeah, I'm pretty happy to be getting out of here for a couple of days. Alright, rental car is rented. Let's go check out the first stop of this little mini trip, rock looking vacay. I don't know what you want to call it yet. I don't have a genius thing.
You finished. I started.
Alright, so this says Google Maps should get us there. But we'll see. I've got like maybe 30 minutes left of daylight, so fingers crossed. If I told you there was a mountain made of crystals in the middle of the Arizona desert, would you believe me? Well, today we are heading to what locals call Glitter Mountain, and I'm really hoping it lives up to its name, so let's go find out. So also just a heads up, this is an active mining claim, but the owners very nicely allow people to come and rock hound. There's just a few rules and regulations kind of happening around that. So no worries, I'm gonna go through it all with you. This is my first time out here as well, so we're gonna kind of learn about it together. I did contact the owners before coming out here to just make sure everything was up to date and all of the things that they expect. So we'll go through all that and chat about it. I assume this is where we park. I'm just gonna park right in front of the sign because there's like no one else here. Let's go check it out. All right, let's check this out. Fellerstone is the one that holds the claim here. This is what we're looking for, and I'll tell you just a smidge about that in just a sec. Alrighty, so as I mentioned, this is an active mining claim. We do want to be respectful of the owners, but what I love about it is it's a super easy way to really kind of get started rock hounding. We all know that I'm a geologist, not a rock hound, as was shown by the agate video. So if you don't have the tools or time or really just kind of knowledge, this is such a cool place to start. And it's great because so no hammers, picks, shovels, machinery, etc. So like everything you find is like stuff you're gonna pick up, and I'm already seeing stuff in the parking lot that I'll show you. Do not go near the mine's open pit and stay away from heavy machinery. Like I feel like that's common sense, but keep the site free of trash, obviously. And then yeah, just these are really nice signs. They're a little bit shot up, but it does talk a little bit about the glitter mine here. So what we're looking for here is a mineral called selenite or selenite. I've heard it called both. It's actually a form of gypsum. They have the same chemical formula, but they were kind of formed a little bit differently, making them different minerals. I just love how educational they are here. So here we've got Mohs hardness scale. And as I said, selenite is actually a form of gypsum. And you can see that as a 2 here on the Mohs hardness scale. So as a general rule, diamonds are 10, talc is 1, and all of the higher numbers here can scratch the lower numbers. So like your fingernail is a 2.5 about, and so it should be able to scratch this gypsum. All right, it is free to just come here and check it out. And like I said, there's stuff all over already, which is so cool. But if you do take stuff, then you should pay. So here's where it talks about how to pay for the rocks. So the Venmo right here, use a QR code to scan. And then here's kind of like the pricing. I'm not gonna grab a bucket, but they do have like $2 per pound, which is great. So yeah, big old Venmo here and some more information on how to pay for it. So let's go look, I guess. All right, I'm not entirely sure, but I think this is the open pit they're referencing, but I'm not entirely sure. So just stay away from any pits. How about? I think we can agree on that. Okay, according to the BLM, the glitter mine deposit was formed when selenite was deposited as part of the Moenkopi Formation during the early Triassic about 250 million years ago. So what does that mean? That means back then this whole area was covered by salt water. As the water deposited, it left behind a layer of minerals, Kind of like when you leave a glass of salt water on your counter and let it evaporate over a few days, you kind of have like a mineral deposit on the bottom of the glass. Same idea. Whether you're a serious mineral collector or just a beginner like me, or even just someone who thinks crystals are really cool, because who doesn't think this is cool? There is something magical about being able to come out and pick up your own specimens. And understanding how they formed makes it just even more special. All right, so I assume similar to most kind of crystal rock hunting formation things, this is really great to visit after a rain, washes all of this dirt away so you can find some really cool crystals. So something to consider when you're getting ready to take your crystals home is that selenite is really soft. So for best things, you probably want to wrap it in like a paper towel or something like that. If you're flying, maybe bring some bubble wrap or wrap it in your clothes. This will help so you don't scratch it as much. There's some good ones like in the ground here that if I had brought like a brush or if I had better nails, oh, I might be able to get this one out. Look at the size of this one. Nice. How cool is that? It's a big one. Oh, look at this one. Look at the size of this thing. Oh my goodness. That's a keeper for sure. If you want to know more about the glitter mine, its deposit, and its formation, be sure to check out our full video on this topic. It's already posted, so you can go find it on the channel. Let's see, I don't even think I have a pound, but we're gonna say $5, I think. We're just gonna do that. This is well worth a $5 adventure. Okay. Alrighty, we are all paid up. It is getting dark, so I think it's time to load up the car and head on to the next adventure. Glitter Mountain was very cool. I am a dirty mess. You all know how much I love playing around in the dirt. So now I'm on my way to the Zion area. So we're gonna meet up with my friend tomorrow, and I think we're gonna do something pretty cool. I am a mess, but I'll give you a quick room tour first. So I am staying at the Driftwood Lodge, and this is pretty cool. I was a little bit surprised. I was scared when I first walked in here, because this is all we have when we walk in here. But nice little seating area, fridge, microwave, which is good because I have some pizza down still. And the room is through here. Ta-da! Nice big room. Holy cats. I don't know where the light switch is. Giant bathroom. And then big old windows. I also have like seats out here. I don't know if you can see them. Still can't really see, but there's like seats out here. And then I think all of this blackness is gonna be a beautiful view in the morning. So I'll show you then. Luckily this supermarket is open late because I accidentally stuck my SD card in my laptop and had to go get tweezers. So wish me luck. Okay, got the tweezers, got the SD card out, but then I went to go put it back in there and something must be wrong with the SD card slot because now, I don't know, you probably can't see it. The SD card is stuck on top, like it didn't go into the slot. I stuck the SD card in there and it disappeared. So now I can't use my laptop. I'm supposed to be working the whole time while I'm here. And I also can't clear my footage, and I only have one extra SD card that's a 32 gigabit. So even if I fill that up, I can't clear the footage. So I don't know how these vlogs are gonna turn out. You'll know. But I have to wait 4 days to see. I don't know if this is gonna ruin my laptop or not. This is about to get really fun. So what happened is it's like trapped up in the top here. I don't know. There you go. You can see it just trapped up there. And I, for the life of me, cannot get it out of there. Alrighty, so being here isn't only exciting because it's Zion and Zion is beautiful, but this is actually my first national park that I'm visiting since the Explore Act came into play. So you might remember Hawaii Volcanoes National Park, I had to pay a filming fee. With the Explore Act, I no longer have to do that. So now I get to tell you about all the cool geology here in Zion without having to pay this permitting and filming fee, and it's just so exciting for small creators like me. Alright, so today we are heading into what might be one of the most unique and iconic hikes in a national park, the famous Narrows. Alright, so I didn't record it, but for the Narrows hike, I rented all of my gear from Zion Adventures in Springdale. It was $85 for the dry suit, which is the full dry suit, and I think $55 for the bibs. Now this came with a pair of like special water boots, 2 pairs of like neoprene socks, so like a wetsuit material to kind of keep your feet warm, the full dry suit, and a walking stick, which I definitely recommend for this. It was really more helpful than I thought it would be. Alrighty, so there's no parking at the Temple of Sinawa, which I did not expect for a Monday morning in February. So that sucks. We've got all of the gear loaded up in the bag. And I'm just at the parking spot. There's like a pullout down the road. I'm hoping I can park there for a few hours because that's where I'm gonna be. Let's go. Check this out. It's like an archway forming in the rock. How cool is that? There's lots of these around that I've seen. Well, most people come in here to wade through the river in between 1,000-foot cliffs. What they may not realize is that they're walking through an active geologic process. I really just need someone to tell me this is cute. Alrighty, and we're off. I think this is the right way to go anyways. We'll find out. My feet are already getting a little bit wet. We'll find it. We'll figure it out. Go. Here's something totally crazy. Every step we take, every move we make, is where solid rock used to be. The Virgin River here is literally moving millions of tons of rock every single year. Wanted to make bets on if I'm gonna lose my sunnies. I think I'm gonna. This is one of the best places in the world to really understand the force of water and its role in these natural formations. The Virgin River moves about 3 million tons of sediment annually, which is crazy. Trying to keep my backpack out of the water here. My shoes got soaked. Oh well, happens. Okay, so obviously with it being February, there's just not a ton of people doing this, and honestly, the solitude feels amazing. Something I was not expecting. I mean, like, look at this. All to myself. So here's something really cool. Let's see if I can aim you guys here. See these like holes right here? And then kind of past it, like right here, you can see these like weird holes and curves. And those are the result of flash flooding in this area. Just another way of showing how the power of water shapes really cool formations. Just water comes raging through this canyon. In 1998, the flow went from 200 cubic feet per second to 4,500 cubic feet per second in just a matter of moments. That's like 9 fire hydrants going full blast down this canyon. So this is a great reminder to not enter this or any other slot-like canyons or thin canyons like this if there's a chance of rain, because they can go from really beautiful and serene to dangerous in just a matter of seconds. Oh my gosh, look at this. Look at this cross bedding. So you might think, since we're hiking the Narrows, that this is like water kind of striations, but no, this is actually cross-bedding in the rock. And what we're touching right here is part of an ancient sand dune that's like fossilized in the Navajo sandstone right here. Isn't that crazy? The power of water to shape rock isn't just ancient history, it's literally happening right now. The Narrows is actually an erosion-enlarged fracture, where the river found a weakness in the rock and slowly wore it away. The really incredible thing is that this river has already cut through about 2,000 feet of rock, and it still has about 1,000 more feet to cut until geologists estimate that it'll run out of power to move sediment downstream. Alright, fair warning. The dry suits are not fully dry if you sit in the water. Like, don't do that. Alright, the way back is not quite as fun as the way in, especially when you're tired and hangry and a little bit wet because you thought the dry suit was dry. Nat. Oh my gosh. Pro tip, I just took like all of my stuff off. It is so cold, so definitely bring extra clothes.
Darkwood asked.
This is like the most unflattering angle, but let's talk Narrows recap. The dry bag honestly was a good idea. 10 out of 10 recommend. The wetsuit, or dry suit, whatever you want to call it, I think it was good. I stayed warm the whole time, like I was by no means cold, which I was prepared for, by the way. I did wear a hat the whole time, not this one, but another one. So I think that was really good. I kept really warm. So I think the dry suit itself was a little unnecessary, like a little overkill. The bibs, they're $55 at Zion Adventures, and I think that's probably all you need, realistically. I made the mistake of sitting down in the dry suit because I was going to make a video segment about the dry suit, and I got soaked, and it was so cold. That being said, it is February. I am so cold. I like physically cannot warm up, so I'm doing this in bed because I'm 100% getting under the covers after this. I will say that the hike was a lot harder than I thought it was going to be. I was like wading through water, no big deal. But when I was getting like the suit, the guy was like, it's like walking on a bunch of like slippery bowling balls. And that is such an accurate statement. Like, my legs and back and hips are sore in ways that they've never been sore before. Like, I get it. Like, I'm out of shape. I'm not like a hiker. Like, I'm a geologist. I love being outdoors. I am not in shape for hiking. But even like the friend that I was with is very active, and she's also like just sore in weird places. Like the low back from like being under tension, the shoulders a little bit from like navigating, and then like, yeah, like my hips and ankles and legs are sore in weird places because of just like the whole like navigating the rocks was really interesting. I was not out of breath like the hike. I didn't walk very fast, but it wasn't like a hard hike that way. But the navigating the water was, I definitely underestimated how tough that would be. I did have my GoPro medium mount on, and it did go for a dunk. So I'm not entirely sure that still works. And I think I ruined a GoPro battery as well. So we'll see which one of these still works. But the GoPro did great. 10 out of 10 recommend that. The bibs do not have pockets. So a lot of people were carrying those like necklaces with the phones in like the clear plastic case, you know. I didn't bring mine because I've been using it for like snorkeling and I hate it. Like, you can't push the buttons, but honestly for like carrying your phone, that's a great idea. If you get the overalls and you're wearing a jacket that has pockets, that would be also a great spot to keep your phone, but just not something I had. And so having access to my equipment when I'm trying to film was really difficult. And I think that made my hike more difficult because I also had my hands full of GoPro, phone, trying to remember like what I need to say or what I wanted to say, trying to look at things above because it's a beautiful hike and look at things below because you know, like, want to know where you're walking, and carrying a walking stick. So yeah, overall, I think it's definitely an iconic hike for a reason. I really enjoyed it. We started at like noon-ish, And we got finished about 5:45ish. Now, granted, again, I'm filming. We're taking lots of pictures. We definitely took our time, stopped and like sat in a few places and just admired. We were one of like the only ones in the canyon towards the end, and so we were just like being one with nature. The way back is so much worse than the way there. Like the way towards Wall Street, you're like, oh my gosh, this is amazing. And then that way back just drags on. Like I felt like I could not move my feet fast enough, but I was also already so tired from carrying like the wet, heavy boots on my legs and like navigating. I was starting to get cold. I did secure Angel's Landing permits for tomorrow. I thought that was a really great idea this morning, and I'm really not sure about it. So I'll take you on the adventure with me, and we'll see how that goes. Until then, good night, and we'll see you tomorrow. I'm so sore. Angel's Landing today. Let's do this. I 1000% need to change my socks because look what I just found in the gift store. How cool are these? So hard to find good rock swag sometimes, so I'm putting these on. All right, another day, another iconic Zion hike. Let's see how this goes. I hope you're ready for some super unaesthetic hiking content. Alrighty, so today we are here at the Grotto parking lot, starting one of Zion's most famous hikes, Angel's Landing. Well, a lot of people come here to hike this trail for the thrills and the views, which I'm so excited for. We are actually going to be climbing up through millions of years of Earth's history. Just a quick reminder, you do need permits for Angel's Landing. We were super fortunate to get in on the day before permit lottery since we are here in the off season. So just a quick reminder on that. Oh, see, they blacked out how many people have died, so easy peasy. See, it's only the last little part. It's 1.1 miles from the Scout Lookout. We're doing it! Okay, I'm not afraid to admit this hike kicked my butt. So instead of making you listen to my heavy breathing during all of this beautiful B-roll, I'm going to give you some tips for hiking Angel's Landing. First up, as I mentioned, this is a permit-required hike. The National Park Service has lotteries taking place throughout the year, but we were fortunate since we were in the off-season, we were able to register for the day before lottery. The National Park Service website for Zion has all of the different lottery dates. So like if you're wanting to hike from March to May, the lottery opens January 1st and closes January 20th, and permits are issued January 25th. Permits can be acquired at recreation.gov. And it's super cheap. Ours were $6 a person for that day before lottery. This is probably one of the most iconic hikes in America, but it's also listed as one of the most dangerous hikes in America. I didn't particularly find the trail too scary. If you're not going to fall off a sidewalk, you're not going to fall off the cliff, but it does require paying attention, holding onto the chains. Like me hiking with my GoPro in hand was probably not the greatest option. I definitely recommend packing some snacks. I got a little dizzy at the top, not going to lie, because I was hungry, and that made the way down just a little bit scarier because my legs were shaking. I also don't recommend doing this after doing other hard hikes. I have seen photos and videos of people hiking Angel's Landing in the snow, which honestly would have been way more terrifying to me. I'm so lucky that we had a nice day because it snowed 2 days after we hiked this. If you're going to do that, make sure you're taking the proper safety precautions. I did make sure to pack the little crampons for my shoes just in case we had some slippery spots. There is water at the Grotto parking lot, but there's nowhere else along the hike to fill up, so make sure you bring plenty of water. During the summer, it's recommended to start early in the morning, especially since it can get very, very hot. We started around 9 or 10 a.m. on this day, but again, it was February and it was a really nice temperature. If you're issued an Angel's Landing permit, congratulations. Make sure you take a screenshot of it on your phone or print it out. You also want to make sure you bring your license or other ID because they will check those to make sure that they match the permits. All right, back to the geology and some super unaesthetic hiking content, so you can see the real side of what it's like to hike Angel's Landing when you're as out of shape as I am.
A lot more like climbing than hiking.
Oh my god. Just a little drop. I'm so excited today because since the first time that I was here in 2020, I have been dreaming of doing this hike, although I am far more out of shape than I was back then. And if you've been following me on Instagram, you probably remember us being really sad that we couldn't do this hike when we were here last time. Testing, microphone test. As a geologist, I get to see something even more exciting than just a beautiful landscape. I'm looking at one of the most complete and studied sequences of Earth's history exposed anywhere in the entire world. People often ask me why I chose geology, and this right here is exactly why. These layers of rocks are like pages in a history book, and they tell the story of millions of years. These massive cliffs tell a story that started about 270 million years ago. Imagine this: ancient seas, vast deserts, rivers, and swamps all came and went, each leaving behind layers of sediment that would eventually become these rocks. Do you see these towering red and white cliffs in the background here? They were once part of an ancient desert that covered this whole region. We talked a little bit about it in the Valley of Fire video, although there it's called the Aztec sandstone and here it's called the Navajo sandstone. This desert erg covered approximately 850,000 square miles, bigger than the combined dune field of today's Sahara. All right, so this is really cool. Angel's Landing itself is what geologists call a joint-controlled resistant fin. Basically, when the Virgin River was carving the canyon, it followed weaknesses in the rock. But this section here was more resistant. This incredible 1,500 foot tall fin of rock is what we are standing on today. You can actually see how the same processes created other fins throughout the canyon. Woohoo! I didn't see that on the way up.
Yeah, me neither.
You guys just want to watch and laugh at me as I come down here, huh?
We all look pretty much the same, don't worry.
I feel like that went okay. Like, that was more graceful than I was expecting. Do you see these patterns in the cliff next to us? The kind of like wavy, loopy patterns here? Most people walk right past. First learned about these, it literally blew my mind. These lines are called cross-bedding, and they're actually one of the major reasons that I fell in love with geology. They're basically fossilized sand dunes. You're literally walking up an ancient desert that existed 190 million years ago. And each of these lines shows us which way the prevailing winds were blowing all the way back then. Isn't that crazy? You can literally see where the wind was going because of these fossilized sand dunes. But check this out. These are iron concretions, and you can find them some places in the desert in like balls. This is like a whole like outcrop that they built into this retaining wall here. How cool is that? Okay, check this out. This is a half barrel from obviously blasting the way for this trail through the mountain, and then like this is like the explosion point. How cool is that? I've not seen any other of these, so I don't know if this was like made to blast a rock off or if it was made to clear the trail, but how cool is this? Just beautiful. Nicely done. All right, Angel's Landing, done. It was probably one of the harder hikes I've done in my life. That last section took it out of me. And I lost my sunglasses, so I'm pretty bummed about that. But on a scale from 1 to 10, I'd say it's like 8, I think. And then, of course, because hiking Angel's Landing wasn't enough for one day, we decided to stop by for sunset at the Canyon Overlook Trail. We were told that this is the best place to see sunset in the park. Although you do have to keep in mind that you're like in a canyon, so don't get your hopes too high. Just getting like the arch in there. All right, Angel's Landing recap. I am so sorry. I meant to do this like before bed, but I am like in bed now and I have my zit stuff on my face. So I will say after like the first mile, I got really excited because we started doing these switchbacks and I was like, this is the famous Walter Wiggles. Honestly, not too bad. Like my heart was pumping. I was moving. We were going, whatever. And then I got to the top and I thought we were so close and we were like a third of the way there. So I looked at like my all trails on my phone and I was like, this cannot be real. Okay, so we continue up like through this really beautiful canyon. The cross bedding is so good. So then you finally keep going and you hit Walter's Wiggles. And like, it is just switchbacks straight up. I tried taking photos. It was insane. I'm just like, all right. But they weren't quite as bad as the other switchbacks because they weren't quite as steep. Like they like switched back more rather than like the other ones were like, some of them were steep hikes. So I thought that was done. Then you continue more. Okay, so then you get to Scouts Landing, I think it's called. And I thought we were like there. They have a ranger up top there taking permits. So you hand them your ID. And it's like a mile. That last mile was probably the hardest physical thing I've ever done. Part of it's probably because we did the Narrows yesterday, so I'm already sore. Most of it's because I'm out of shape. But that section, like, it's sketchy. 100% agree with, like, everybody's, like, view on it being dangerous. Like, there are some parts that you're, like, cliffs on either side. But it's just, like, straight up. And then you get kind of up to the top of this hill. And you're like, wow, this is beautiful. It's a great overlook. And then they're like, oh, yeah, but it keeps going. And it keeps going. So then you go downhill. And you just go, like, this last section is straight up this hill. And then you're standing literally on top of the world. Like, it's beautiful. I mean, the views are great the whole way. Let's be real. If you don't want to go the whole way, you don't have to. But you got to hike up the fin and out to the end if you want to say you did it. So at least that's what I was told. So I did lose my sunnies. My favorite pair of sunglasses got caught in a gust of wind and flew off the side of the cliff. So RIP to those. Let me know your favorite sunglass recommendations in the comments because I'm officially in the market for a new pair. But yeah, and then the way down was not as bad. Obviously, like, it was just downhill. So, like, kind of just grueling that way, you know, where it, like, pushes on your shins and knees. Yeah, we did the whole thing in 3 hours and 47 minutes according to my all trails. Obviously, lots of stops for me. Lots of filming and photos and kind of just, like, checking things out. So if you're looking to, like, pace yourself, if you're like me and just an average human being and not a hiker extraordinaire, that's kind of how we did it. It was 3 hours and 47 minutes. So tomorrow we're heading out of the park and I think we're gonna go check out some sand. So stay tuned. See you in the morning. Don't worry, it's not tomorrow. This just occurred to me to also tell you guys, make sure you stretch properly before and after your hikes. The pain of laying down right now, the leg cramps, oh my god. All right, running a little bit late this morning. I had to do like 30 minutes of yoga just to like be able to move my hips and walk. So that's great. Today, we've got tons of exciting stuff planned. I'm not sure what we're gonna be able to finish, especially now that we're running a little bit late, but I think it's gonna be fun. We're just gonna kind of wing it and I'll tell you what I know about the geology along the way. I've got my roadside geology book and we'll just roll with it. It is a beautiful day here in Kanab. I think we're sitting around 30 degrees and that's really nice here in the sun, but you'll see the Slot Canyon behind me is a little shady. So I'm gonna make sure we grab some gloves, a hat, and of course a camera. Utah has over 1,000 slot canyons, but this one right here is special. Welcome to Peekaboo, or as some call it, Red Canyon. While everyone comes for some pretty amazing photos, there's an even more incredible story hidden within these walls. Let's take a little walk and I'll show you. This is fine. Let me show you something incredible about how these slot canyons form. These narrow passages were carved by flash floods over thousands of years. Think about it, these walls can be 100 feet high, but sometimes less than 3 feet wide, kind of like right behind me here. It's all thanks to water finding the weakest path through the Navajo sandstone. This is the same rock formation that we saw at Zion. We also saw it at Valley of Fire. However, regionally that's called the Aztec sandstone there. And it's also part of what you see at the famous Antelope Canyon, although this canyon is a little bit less well known. Each flash flood sculpted these walls, creating these smooth flowing patterns as the water raged through these weak points in the rock. It's kind of like nature's own art gallery. How cool is that? One of the things that makes Peekaboo so special is how much variety you see in such a short distance. This hike is less than a mile round trip if you have an off-road vehicle and start at the start of the slot canyon itself. But look at these colors. Do you see how the sandstone changes from brownish to reds and oranges? These patterns are created by different minerals in the rock. And you can actually watch how these colors change as the sun moves. It's like the walls come alive during different times of day. Okay, it's really dark in here, but I want to show you guys something really cool. Do you see these kind of holes in the rock here? They're kind of going all the way up, all the way through here. So these little holes right here were actually steps that were carved by the ancestral Puebloans, sometimes called the Anasazi, about 800 to 1,000 years ago. So if you think about it, we are literally walking in the footsteps of people that were here a millennia ago. Isn't that crazy? Do you want to see another cool feature of this slot canyon? Right here, do you see these logs? These logs are wedged between the canyon walls here. They're remnants of past flash floods, so it just goes to show you how powerful the force of water can be. From ancient peoples carving steps 1,000 years ago, to water slowly sculpting these canyons. Southern Utah shows us how geology isn't just about rocks, it's about time and transformation. Like the different colors?
Yes. Teacher.
Ooh, spooky. At the Coral Pink Sand Dunes State Park, and we're doing something super fun to get up close with geology today. We are going sand sledding. All right, so sand boards and sand sleds can be rented at the visitor center for $25, which is great. The sleds you sit down on, the boards are like snowboards and you ride them, which I would have loved probably, but my thighs are killing me after the last couple of days of hiking. So we're gonna go ahead and do the sleds today. I think the Coral Pink Sand Dunes is just so fun because it's the eroded remnants of the Navajo sandstone, which we saw at Zion. Now, like we talked about at Zion, the Navajo sandstone itself was once part of a desert dune erg that was bigger than the Sahara. So you might be wondering, Jess, why are there sand dunes in like this random spot of Utah? I was too, so let's talk about it.
Well, in the recipe of sand dunes, it takes 3 key ingredients to make them. First and most obvious, you need sand.
Now, over time, obviously, the Navajo sandstone has eroded due to wind and the Virgin River, and now it's being deposited here in Coral Pink Sand Dunes State Park as new sand dunes.
Second, you need strong winds, at least 10 miles an hour to move the sand. And third, and this is the really cool and key part, you need something to control these winds.
So with your rental, you get a board or a sled and a little thing of wax. So to wax the boards, you do them, if you're gonna go on the tall dune, you do it every time. If you're gonna do a smaller dune, they said do it every like 2 or 3 times. And you're gonna go from the screw down to the bottom and like scribble, they said, which I don't know if that's similar or not to waxing a surfboard, but something a little bit like this. Easy peasy. Alrighty, next up, let's go find a dune to ride. This walk out to the dunes is no joke. Walking in sand is not fun. It's hard to hike at these dunes, so this is as far as we're going. So now for these, you sit on the board, aim it downhill, and then they said you steer with your hands by dragging your hands through the sand. See how we do. I just ate so much sand. Nailed it. Woo! All right, so just outside of Zion on Highway 89 is what locals call the belly of the dragon. Now, this looks like an interesting cave formation, but it actually has a really cool story. This was originally built as a water drainage tunnel under Highway 89. But over time, water has carved these incredible rippling patterns in the walls and roof. It's like nature took an ordinary culvert and turned it into art. Then you pop out the other side. Now, supposedly you can walk further up this trail, but I don't really feel the need to. Might be a nice little hike though. I think you're right though, like what you've been seeing has to be like half rails, right? Yeah, it has to be. I can't imagine like somebody would come in and like make a straight line. Right? Didn't light just die for real? If you like joining us, be sure to like, subscribe, and follow along for more geotourism adventures. And let me know, now that we're able to film in national parks without having to get a permit, which national park do you want to know the geology of next?